this to me is like the really fascinating material.
We don't know what the answer is, but we're looking for patterns.
I think we're looking at kind of a type of cosmic alchemy.
The stories slowly grew into mythos.
And still, a lot of people don't know that this technology actually exists.
The possibilities here are pretty mind-boggling.
We can't just believe that it was the work of these lone, troubled individuals.
Like a conspiracy theorist would look at that and say, well, the Illuminati or somebody planned this way in advance.
Or is that by design?
Looking for meaningful coincidences.
The same pattern.
And we're here. We got live in studio guests. First time we've done this in Studio B.
Yeah. We're usually just in here, me and you, man.
Well, we're slowly getting Studio A over here. Apparently, we have all the equipment. So, but we got some special guests, and I'm happy to have these guys. These guys are actually a local band from around these parts in Nashville. They're in a local band. Was it? I think it's 2/5, right? Is it a 5-piece?
2/8.
Yeah.
2/8.
Yeah.
About to be 2/3.
You guys have somebody playing like the triangle or something? Is that what it is?
Yeah, we're multi-instrumentalists, jack of all trades. I'm playing the Yingling right now.
Yeah, so we've got Dave and Nico from Future Unlimited.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
This is Nico.
Yeah, we're gonna play.
This is David.
Probably play a couple of you guys' songs in the show. Now, how this came about was that Nico and I actually worked together, and I've gone to see you guys. Actually, me and Serafiel have gone to see you guys a couple of times. I think, yeah, a couple of times that we've gone to see you guys. And for the audience that's out there, tell us about your band, like what the style is. How you guys formed, all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. Future Unlimited started, I think, around 2012. It was me and another guy, Sam. We were
started in 2012 too.
Yeah, yeah. We were living. I think I came up. I was visiting from Florida. I was scoring a movie for a friend, and I ended up crashing on this kid's couch and. We did a couple tracks together, and we ended up starting the band. It got some traction on blogs.
Well, you guys hated each other at the beginning, didn't you?
Yeah,
There was some friction. They were like,
yeah.
I think they were like a upstairs and downstairs neighbor or something like that.
Yeah, Yeah, that was pre.
Sorry, did I bring up any?
No, that's fine. I didn't know. People don't want to hear, the entire thing. I just getting the quick. But yeah,
all the
they want to know the drama.
Wants to know all the
they want to know the real drama.
Basically, yeah. 2012 started as a duo. We were doing a lot of new wave, a lot of electronic, a lot of remix stuff. Got some tracks on a couple big blogs. Made some waves. Went and played South by.
Nice.
Did the deal for a while, and then. After that, we had a small hiatus. We had, a close friend passed, and we just took a break for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah, people move across state lines, and
yeah, we took a hard break, and then I came back up into town
from Florida.
Yeah, from Florida, and I've known Nico for a while, and it's. Playing him demos and stuff. I just been fucking around with music and working on stuff, and then he's like, "We gotta get this back. We gotta get it going again." So I said, "All right, what the hell?"
Well, yeah, and it was it wasn't even going to be Future Unlimited because we were playing in another group that I was doing with another buddy of mine, and Dave's a phenomenal drummer, producer, and we were kind of working as a duo. The band I was doing before was called Silk and Suede, and then we had Dave come in and started filling out live drums, and that kind of ran its course. And then we're back. It's like you can never keep on that same path. You're always kind of taking a little dip. You have hills and valleys, but yeah, it was basically like me and Dave kind of like, well, we still want to do music. What are we gonna do? And he's actually doing kind of if there's anyone out there that likes a lot of vaporwave or kind of weird sample based electronic kind of funky goodness. I mean, he was doing a kind of solo thing called Strange Eons, and I think there's still a Bandcamp up for that.
Yeah, it's still there.
And they did a tape on Contemporary Tapes, which I did the artwork for. So we were collaborating on that, and we were thinking about maybe doing that, like kind of a more like a sample-based kind of instrumental electronic thing as a duo. And since we're on Conspirinormal, like I think we were thinking about kind of using kind of that sci-fi element of it. I mean, the group's called Strange Eons, so we're thinking about using a lot of like fog and kind of almost like, you look at like this weird like Soviet kind of, and I know we've talked about that. Yeah. Like
space communist.
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole space communist hat with like fog and but we talked about like doing some weird
Russian
kind of
cosmism there.
Yeah, totally, kind of like Magic Fly. There's a band called Space. I don't know if y'all have ever heard that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Space.
Yeah,
where they, really kind of influential on Daft Punk. Have you seen that Space video? Magic Fly.
They're all wearing like astronaut helmets.
Yeah,
and the guy's just like rocking on the drums.
I have seen that. I have seen that. And the acrylic drum set. And
yeah, you got like the dancer in the middle of it. Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, it's
that album's really cool too.
I just discovered that only like about like a year or so ago. I'd never heard of that or anything.
It's real funky. It's real spacey, sci-fi, kind of out of this world dance music. It's also really sexual too.
Oh yeah,
it's cool. No, it's weird. You don't want to play it around your parents if any kids are listening out there. So.
Sounds cool.
What are some of your guys' other influences for the band?
Shit. I mean, I like everything. Punk, new wave, psych, garage, soul, jazz. I mean, shit. If there's accordion music out there that has soul and it's got that vibe that I like, I'll fuck with it.
Get a little polka action going on, right?
I mean, I think Cameo is definitely up there as far as
yeah. Cameo for sure.
Cameo never leaves the mind more than.
Yeah,
these days,
it's inspired you a lot lately. I think. But
words to live by.
Mr. Blackman, is I think the guy's name.
Yeah, Larry
Blackman.
He always wear that cod piece too.
Oh, I got a cod piece on right now. You can't see it.
Hell yeah! Well, we started talking, Nico and I at work, talking about like I asked him, well, what kind of stuff is your band? And he said, like, post-punk, kind of like, New Order kind of stuff like that, Joy Division, which I'm really into.
Like Adam's favorite shit.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
It's definitely rooted kind of in, like, 80s. But, like how Dave was saying, like, I guess when the band kind of started in the, 2012, there was that kind of huge crossover, I guess, right? With, like, post-punk and kind of electronic, like, house and dance music.
Yeah.
So and I think like a lot of English acts really work that really well in its favor. So,
which that's cool to get like dance music back into rock and roll again. Like, it's always
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand,
Yeah, but like it seems like there's a lot of there's so much like rock and roll with I think like the sexual element missing. You know what I mean? And like the dance and like funky shit in it. That
we got to bring the cod piece back. I mean, basically,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Saxon is coming to town next week.
Oh yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, we'll be backstage. We're not opening, but we'll be back there hanging out with Saxon.
You'll be back there hanging out with Saxon?
Yeah, I think so.
No, but like drinking some prune juice with him or something.
Yeah. Some diuretics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the music now, I think it's kind of it was a little bit more electronic heavy in the earlier days, and I think it's shifting to more of kind of like
more organic.
Yeah, more organic. More live instrumentation, like live drums, which the band always had, but I think a little less arpeggiated synths and just kind of more driving. It kind of has like an early U2 kind of boy era vibe right now. A little bit of NXS, some OMD, definitely Depeche Mode, Cure. And then I don't even know.
Yeah, I definitely hear all that in it.
Yeah, it's just it's a little bit, and we're gonna do a bunch of string of singles up from now and I guess through the summer, just to kind of explore that range,
Yeah. Cool. What's the new single called that
Falling?
you just put out? Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Falling. Yeah.
Excellent song. I must say. I actually heard you guys play it live, and I was pretty impressed by it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And if you
Yeah, thanks a
want,
lot.
we can play it here, and we'll come back. All right. So that was it. The song. And the main reason we got you guys here is to talk about what we talk about. which is conspiracy theory and paranormal.
So freaky deaky.
So I will throw it out to who wants to take it. Let's talk paranormal first. Have you guys ever had any weird paranormal experiences?
I have.
Okay.
I have. I was traveling with a friend. He was a DJ. We were living in New York, and he got a tour going all over Asia for like 4 months. And we were out in, I want to say it was Hong Kong, and it was Chinese Ghost Night. And we're staying at this 5-star, 5-diamond hotel. The promoters like decked it out. We're playing at the Dragon Club, where like all the models, the USA basketball team was there. My friend's getting paid to DJ, whatever. It's the first night we get in town, and we want to go out. We go out and having drinks, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? There's like money and candles on everyone's doorstep, like all over the place. We're like, what the fuck is that? And so, the gig isn't for another like 2 days, and we go back to the hotel. We had a whatever night. We drank some beers, got kind of fucking tipsy, drunk, whatever. Let's just call it. We go back to the room. I'm exhausted. I'm lying in the bed, and he's on the computer on the desk in the room. He's trying to Skype his girlfriend. And so the whole time on this trip, we decided we were going to be on the same page. So he wouldn't let me sleep if I wanted to sleep, and I wouldn't let him sleep. Right. But whatever. But he's, whatever. I'm passing out on the bed, and I feel this thud, and I'm like, yo, man, I'm not fucking getting up. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not getting up. I'm not doing this. I'm like, whatever.
You thought it was him.
He's got headphones on. I'm lying down. I'm just talking to him with my eyes closed. I'm saying, yo, I'm not getting up, He's on headphones, like, rapping with his girl who's in New York. Right? And then finally I feel another thud again. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, what? I'm like, yo, you're kicking the bed. What do you do? I'm not getting up. He's like, yo, I didn't kick the bed. And I was like, oh shit. I swear to God, I felt someone kick the bed. And then we both got really quiet, and it was really weird. Like, both of us, like our hairs just started standing up. And it just got really weird. And he was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, he started yelling. And I'm like, what are you yelling for? I don't know if we freaked each other out. And then we fucking both bolted out of the fucking hotel room, right? Went downstairs and told the manager we needed a different room. And the manager was like, why? And then my boy was like, because there was a rat, And now here we are telling this guy there's a rat in the room. The guy who booked the show is like Yakuza, whatever, like God knows, like connected, and there's a rat in the hotel. Yeah, fucking right. Heads are going to roll if there's a rat, especially over there, because you can eat off the fucking ground out there. Like clubs, it's crazy.
Right.
So, yeah. And then I actually forgot about this story, but I just recently, I was telling my mother, I was like, yeah, God, something follows me around. It's crazy. I feel like it. I can feel it. But to this day,
something following me around.
Yeah, to this day, but
from that incident.
Because the next morning we went and had breakfast with the promoter and the owner of the club and the owner of the hotel, and he's like, what? I heard you had a problem with the room.
He was like, how was the rat?
I heard you had a problem with the room, and we were like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and so. We had no idea. I was like, what's up with the what's with the money? Why do people put money? He's like, oh, it's Chinese Ghost Night,
Mm-hmm. Is it hell money?
I guess. I don't know, but he's like, if you stay out past a certain hour, the spirits will follow you back to your house. Oh, shit. And it was crazy. It was crazy. That's pretty much one of the only, like, I'd say real paranormal. Other than that, I dated a girl whose grandfather died in the house, and I always thought she had a parrot because he would talk and say shit.
The parrot would?
No, there's no parrot. Her grandfather died in the house and fucking.
Oh, you would audibly hear.
Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, you have a parrot? And she's like, no.
So
She's
you,
like,
what,
"Oh,
you
it's
just
my
heard like some
grandfather."
old man's voice.
Like, that's just
like,
my grandfather. Was like, "Where's he at?" He's like, "Oh, he's dead."
Yeah, she was totally normal. That was in
see
high
him?
school, but she was totally cool with it. Oh, that's just my grandfather. No, he's cool.
Yeah, he's
I'm like,
making egg sandwiches.
oh hell no, yeah, really.
Wow.
Can he see what we're doing? Yeah.
When you say something followed you, like what feeling do you get that you think something followed
Well,
you? You said it's like
I'm-
things happen, weird things happen.
I'm trying to
or-
remember because this was 2000. This was 2004. We went over there.
Yeah.
And then like 2000, I don't even know, but like I just remember certain incidences, like just seeing shadows out of the corner of my eye. You know, those little things, those movements in your peripherals, like a lot of that activity after that for months. Like it was like, what the fuck is going on?
You tapped into some kind of primordial shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I consider myself pretty like, you know, I'm with it. You know, when I see shit, I see shit. But
Sure.
it's like, and I usually have a healthy dose of like skepticism, but now more than ever, you know, now more than ever, I'm like, oh shit, man, there's a ghost in here. I don't know. It's tough. My mother would say everybody's a fucking Indian nowadays. My mother's this old Catholic, you know. She's always trying to, you know, everybody thinks they're an Indian. Drink this, drink that. Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Everyone's a fucking Indian now.
Try the holistic approach.
Yeah, I'm like, Ma, you know, can't trust all these doctors. What do you know? You know.
What about you, Nico?
But I don't know.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I guess there's been a couple instances recently. I mean, I've been living in the place that I've been at. It's like an apartment. Been there for about 3 years. You know, just kind of standard apartment. You know, got a pool, weight room, fireplace, all that jazz.
Good to know.
Nothing creepy. I'm just saying it's not like
Good to
pre-war like 1920. You know, it's not like some Ghostbuster shit where like
I live in a castle.
yeah, there's not gargoyles on the top floor. You know, we're in Tennessee. So,
Zool isn't in
yeah.
the refrigerator.
I mean, Zool is not just chilling on the second floor in Hermitage at wherever it is. But anyways, yeah, no, it's like. But the weird thing is, you know, it's like, so I have a son. He's 6, and he's been over at the house. Obviously, I don't live with him, but he comes over and visits. And just over the years, he's always kind of said some random things. And you know, you're at that age where, excuse me, 3, 4, and 5, 6. You know, like imaginary friends and this and stuff. And I know he has like a little imaginary friend. It's basically like his little brother and all this stuff. But he's said some stuff, just being, you know, in the middle of the day, like nothing like creepy, but. And he's like, "Daddy, who's that?" You know, I'm just like, "What do you mean?" And he's seen stuff. He's like, "No, there's that person over there." I'm just like, "What do you?" I was like, "There's no one here." And it's just like, you know, I mean, that's some like, yeah, some like stereotypical like horror movie stuff where you see it in the movies, but when you're like in it,
The child knows.
yeah, when you're making mac and cheese, you're just like, no, it's cool. Here, eat your hot dogs and mac. And he's like, and then he's just like, kind of like, "Oh well, yeah, he just wanted to come and say hi or something like real." I'm like, what? And then the weirdest thing, so like my father, he passed when I was real young. So there's a photo in my room of my dad and me, and it's probably about I was probably younger than how my son is now. I was probably like maybe like 3 in the photo, but my dad was probably about my age because I had my son when the same age my dad had me. So like So I always kind of thought that maybe it would be like a spirit of my father or something like that. And I've had like different family members kind of tell me stuff like that, where he's like, "Oh, he's kind of with you and this and that." And my mom's like pretty spiritual on that end and stuff. So I mean, you know, I always try to like think about it. Maybe it's like in a positive sense, where it's like maybe it's like you know, something to do with my father or grandmother or like someone that's kind of just watching over my, you know, just me and my son and stuff like that. Nothing like kind of like. Real ominous or creepy or anything.
Sounds like he wasn't creeped out.
No, he wasn't. But I mean, his daddy was just like, you know, because you think it's imaginary friend. I was like, "Oh, it's your imaginary friend." It's like, no, this is someone new. You know, it's just like he's kind of bigger. And I'm just like, all right. And the weirdest thing too, though, and then to also, so that's kind of something that's like, you know, you also don't know if it's a child's imagination. But recently, I've had, you know, I've been seeing someone. She's been over there, and she's like an empath. So when I first met her, she's like, she's really into Reiki and like all this stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's, the first day I met her, she's like, I want to do a Reiki session on you, blah, blah, blah. And she's met a couple of my friends and has just picked up on their like energies like immediately. And she's always telling me that she's like, well, I can see people's auras and like energies. Is like basically, I forgot what the phrasing is, but basically we kind of see in static. So it's like you don't see like God, I wish I knew the term, but it's basically like you kind of see colors and
Aura.
waves and auras
aura.
and statics and stuff. There's a specific phrasing of it, but
I think that's part of Reiki.
Yeah, when you
think,
first meet someone, you're kind of like, okay, you don't know if they're full of shit or if they're just like whatever. But as you get to know them, you can kind of tell, yeah, they're with it. And I have a really good judge of character myself, but like not in that extent, to that extent. But she's like, yeah, I can just feel and sense your aura and this and that. And she's picked up on all my friends, like stuff with you I haven't even told you about when she first met Dave. She was like, I could just tell, and she like, dude, she pinned him down. She's like, there's this and this and this. I won't get all into it, but I was like, man, that's pretty crazy. And then it's just some other friends that she's met, and she's been like, I just kind of called it out. But she's been over at the place, at my place a lot lately, and she's like, do you feel that? Just kind of shit. We're just hanging out, watching a movie, and she's like, she's like, I don't mean to freak you out, but there's people in the room with us right now. So for her to get a secondary validation,
No way, I can't do that shit.
Yeah, well, Dave's would probably.
How you gonna go take a shower after that?
How you gonna take a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, you can run out of a shower, but
God.
running off the toilet is
that's the thing about, I know the apartments that you're talking about, and they've been there for at least as long as I've lived in the area.
Right.
And you don't know
how many people have
have lived there, or how many people have passed on.
Yeah, I think about that all the time.
What exactly could have happened in that apartment? The thing is, though, it doesn't necessarily really even have to be where people have died necessarily in the apartment. It could be just the fact that so many people have lived in a certain place for so long that there's like this imprint.
Right.
And that could be something that people that have that ability or whatever, they can pick up on.
Sure.
Just
kind of like tracers or something like
Yeah.
Could see that.
I think that's a big possibility.
Well, yeah, when you've had someone like living, breathing, and doing their daily routines, and there's like dozens upon dozens. I mean, who knows? Yeah, hundreds maybe. You never know.
You mentioned that about your son saying like kids saying weird stuff. This is something that we haven't talked too much about on the show. But you guys got any thoughts on when kids say stuff that like might mean like there's like past lives involved and stuff like that? You guys ever heard anything?
I watched a
about
documentary called Barra Boy. I don't know if the boy,
the Irish, the boy who lived again.
The boy who is, they renamed it. Maybe it was originally called Barra Boy.
I've seen that. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. It's called The Boy Who Lived Before. That's what it is. The Boy Who Lived Before.
The little kid kept spouting off. Oh, I miss my Barra home, like on this island, and the whole other family. And they take him to he called the exact shit, like down to the beach, the house, everything,
the car in the driveway.
And the parents were so distraught, like, do we entertain this idea and bring him, or do we just they went to specialists and doctors and all that, and then the moment they brought the kid there, because it was months where they're like, should we do this, should we not? They bring the kid there, and then all of a sudden the kid he turns off, and he's just like, he just stopped spouting off about it. I think that's how it...
Well, yeah, he got there. I mean, some of the stuff that he was saying, like when they went to the house, like just weird stuff. Was like, I remember a blue truck and da-da-da-da-da, which isn't there anymore. But like at the time, like maybe 10 or 15 years, something like that was in the past. Like, well, yeah, there used to be a guy that lived here, had a blue truck and da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, it kind of gets it's kind of a little anticlimactic, but at the first onset. Because he's describing so much stuff to the T that it's weird, and for him to be at that age and to know the geography of the island, and it's such a remote island, and it's just like, and I guess it's also kind of eerie too because they're Irish or something.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you never been to Bada.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I gotta take you to the Bada family. So it's like, oh shit, It's a little different. It's like some American shit.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You never been to Bada?
Makes it extra mystical too.
Shut the fuck up and eat your cereal.
You're gonna eat your porridge and
I don't even know if that's northern. I don't even know if that's
We
whatever.
apologize to all our listeners.
Sorry to all our the bar listeners. Yeah, Boy Who Lived Before. You should check it out. And they also talk about a couple other little stories. I think in that documentary they were talking about, because they go to a paranormal psychologist that specializes in. I guess it's kind of like reincarnation or something.
Yeah, I know who you're talking.
But
Yeah.
the specialist
I actually
was,
tried to get him on the show, but he couldn't do it because he had a lot going on. Yeah.
What, like past life regression?
Yeah.
But they were talking about, he was talking about another specific case where the boy that was born, he came back. He used to be his own grandfather.
I am
If you can wrap your head
grandpa.
Yeah, but
It's
he
a country
was.
song.
So they were like he was like, looking at old photos, and he's like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean that's your grand? It's like, no, that's me. And he's like talking about all this stuff that his grandfather did when his grandfather was a boy.
Yeah.
That this like 6-year-old child just would have not ever known. Like,
Keep him away from grandma.
but can you
Yeah.
imagine being your own grandfather? Yeah.
Keep him away from grandma.
Oi, grandma. He's like patting his thigh at Christmas, like, I got a present for you. It's like, what? Ow.
There was
A word up.
there was this kid that actually I read a book about called Soul Survivor, and this kid's name was James Leininger, and he said that he was basically like this World War II fighter pilot that died over Iwo Jima, and actually went there to They actually went there, and he met people that he had known, family members of this deceased pilot.
Wow.
Early on, he described like the type of plane that the pilot flew in 1945. when
He was
died.
he was a younger.
Yeah, he was like 2 or 3 years old when
Oh,
it all
wow.
started, and I think it lasted till he was about 6 or 7.
Right.
But the thing is that eventually these things start to fade.
Yeah.
And what's weird is, for me, like I remember, I have a strange memory. Like it's just bizarre.
So you've had that happen? Like you feel like you had some stuff?
I have this memory of being like it's almost like I feel like it's like the aftermath of a battle, and it's like I see like a guy in like kind of the weird kind of like Napoleon or George Washington style tri-corner hat, you know, in the distance, and like the sun's going down, and then like next memory I have, I'm about 3 years old, you know.
So that's your earliest memory. That
Yeah, and I can't explain it. I can't explain like what that means, what it is. It's tried to been explained away to me
Yeah.
as something that maybe like, well, War and Peace was on TV or something. Like, you know, maybe you saw that. But I don't remember other things from television when I was a little
Maybe you
child,
died in
so.
one of the Napoleonic Wars, man. That's a good way to die.
Yeah,
maybe you were
so.
Napoleon.
I could have been Napoleon. Yeah.
I had a dream that I was Napoleon. That was the first thing.
Well, that's the other thing about all this reincarnation stuff, is that normally people will say like, "Oh, I was Cleopatra," or "I was Napoleon."
Someone super famous.
Yeah, it's never like the person just like shoveled shit and died of the plague, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a common thing. The guy you're talking about, I can't think of his name, that specializes in this, but he was actually he learned his stuff from another doctor that went over to India, and he specialized in all these stories. And, you know, in India, this is not something that's unusual. I mean, this is a commonplace thing. This is part of their belief system. And they all the time have these things. And he's, I mean, you know, there's something to it when it's documented constantly of all these children that are having this. And I had a friend actually post something that she tagged me in where her 3-year-old child said something just really strange about something about like, you know, I was this and then I went here and then I was a baby. You know, it's something weird. You know,
Yeah,
It's
when
like
you're that,
strange stuff.
especially when like you're that small, and it's just like you're saying, it's kind of like, because you don't have that You haven't been influenced enough to be like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You're not when you're 2 or 3. You're
that
not like,
mean?
oh, I'm gonna make up this elaborate story of how I lived before. It's just so. So that's the thing. Kids say the darndest things. Okay, we can't probably say that anymore, can we?
But they just get say the darndest thing.
I don't think kids say much nowadays. They just stare at a phone.
Yeah, they just stare at the phone.
Kids text the darndest things.
Kids text the darndest things.
So
Yeah.
I did. Man, there was you were kind of talking about the India thing. I was trying to think.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I can remember, there was this. Have you guys ever seen this thing online? It's about I want to say it's in India, but it's about like a big giant like gateway to like hell, and it has like this giant dragon like protecting it. And there's like all these like four warnings about like not crossing the threshold. There's supposed to be some like vast treasure. I gotta figure out. It's somewhere like over in one of those Asian countries like that. But
Let's call up Indiana Jones and go get it, man.
I've been watching Indiana Jones a lot recently.
the Indian Gate to Hell.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like something like that.
I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
Let me see if I can pull something up and find it.
Dude, the
Have to
last what was it? I don't even know.
to Google
Speaking
that
of
shit.
Indiana Jones, I just watched this. What was it? YouTube with Richard Dolan and Joseph A. Farrell
We've had Dolan on the show. Yeah.
on this show.
On Conspirinormal.
No
I've
way.
been wanting to get
Yeah.
Farrell.
That
Yeah,
guy.
I'm-
that guy seems legit. Because I mean,
Farrell, he's
Yeah.
really, he's really detail oriented. It's crazy.
dude, yeah, he's wild. But they were. I mean, the whole story between like the Nazi Bell and UFOs and
Yeah.
all that, and he's like telling you what's fact and what's just hearsay. It just blew my head. The whole like Area 51 in the Amazon, run by Lockheed, and the Germans, like crazy
Yeah,
shit.
Farrell,
like,
man, if you read one of his books, it'll just like take you down so many rabbit holes.
yeah,
But they're really hard to get through because it's so much shit packed. Like it's
So much
Yeah.
detail oriented.
yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy.
I watched one of his lectures. I mean, because I'm always driving back and forth to Florida
Uh-huh.
and here, and I don't even listen to music anymore. It's either Coast to Coast AM or it's like YouTube, and it's like stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It just reminded me of when you brought up the Indiana Jones. I was like, man, that was wild.
Well, that's a good segue. Then, do you guys have a favorite conspiracy genre or?
I like the UFO stuff, man. I've been following that stuff for the last like 8 years. I've been fascinated with it since I was a kid. I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries with my father and be like, my God, what was that? What do you think? And now it's just like, it's so crazy now. It's like you could be, oh, well, now we know it's electromagnetic gravitics, metamaterials, blue shifting. It's all this like,
I was waiting for Dave to
popular
talk about
science.
Leviticus.
Yeah, popular science is now. It's all this like, oh well, yeah, well this is coming into fruition.
Electromagnetic.
Yeah.
Is there a particular like theory that you have of the UFO phenomenon?
Oh man, you know what? It's gotten so like crowded out here. Like now it's just so many people on this subject, and it's so like widely talked about. Like I don't even know anymore.
That's the plan, right?
Like I like Dolan.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
that
He
stuff,
seems
too.
like he's got his head screwed on straight, But I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many channels. Like now, I'm starting to question Gaia. I'm not sure about Gaia anymore. It's just weird. It's just too. And these.
Well-
I tell you who I don't like: the Wilcock guy and
David
the fucking,
Wilcock.
Yeah, the other
Yeah.
guy.
Corey Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like
Mr.
any.
Martian
Oh well, yeah.
Martian super soldier.
Yep, goddamn unicorns up underneath the earth. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, where, why? Like, and then, but, I really like that. There's a YouTube channel, Mouthy Buddha. I've been watching a lot. He seems pretty cool. Just like, very healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah.
And, I try to, it's because so much of it is just so corny.
Are you
know?
a nuts and bolts guy? I mean, and you think it's like these are physical craft and physical perhaps beings?
I mean, I believe in back engineer craft, but I definitely believe like, on some spiritual shit. It's probably, both. I mean, it's both. I mean, it's gotta be, it's just
some kind of connection between the two or something.
Yeah. I don't know. It was so funny. We were watching, my girlfriend literally before I got here had Unsolved Mysteries on when I got out of the shower. And I was like, why are you watching this? You don't ever watch this shit. And it's like, Roswell, Roswell, a UFO. And then I'm like, it's showing like, little pieces of tinfoil. And they're like, we found a beam with writing on it.
That was today? then you're here now, man. See,
it is really weird. Yeah. I was like, I even said, why are you watching this? She's like, I don't know. I was like, okay.
You guys have Robert Stack coming out as a special guest.
He's behind the
dryer
back there.
The rest of my parts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my take is like I used to really heavily believe in all the extraterrestrial phenomenon, but I really think over the years that it really switched to the whole kind of interdimensional travel, which kind of makes sense because if we advance so much in the future to where we can create that technology to where we can jump, maybe it's just future versions of ourselves or other more advanced civilizations that already have that technology, which they're trying to reach us in a certain way. Obviously, that doesn't really explain a lot of like the craft sightings and stuff like that. But I kind of feel, and we're so saturated, like Dave was saying, we're so saturated with like the UFO phenomenon, the aliens. It's just like it's so out there and it's been so ingrained. Like, I mean, you have so many people believing. You have more people believing in aliens and extraterrestrials than God almost at this point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now if you try to be like,
it is.
Oh, it's an interdimensional. They're like, no, So it's kind of like, yo, we're gonna feed this to the general populace, so that's what they're gonna digest and be like, well, yeah, of course there's alien, So then you're not going to be able to tell what's real. You can't tell it because it's saturated, It's like, how are you going to tell what's real and what's, And they can, and the stuff that is real, it's out. Obviously, there's probably some stuff that's just truth, that's complete truth, but it's in the sea, and it's just like, okay,
of disinformation.
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
And I'm constantly looking at the sky. I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't seen any, and I'm literally when I do the 14-hour drive, I only drive at night to avoid traffic, and I'm constantly looking, and I haven't seen. And I'll go out with my friends in Florida. We'll go out on the beach, and we'll just sit out there all night and wait, because we had a buddy that supposedly saw TR-3B, freaked out and all this shit in Florida, but I've never seen anything.
Me and Adam UFO hunting in Florida.
Yeah,
we just went down there. We actually found one on the Pensacola Beach.
What's that?
A Futuro home that we saw.
I thought you found like a crash UFO. We found one, kind of like
we had a weird synchronicity. Yeah, it was like lodged into the ground, smoking dead aliens around.
You know what? I'll tell you. Here's a funnier story. This is on the lighter side. I was sitting at the bar in the Boundary in the Village having drinks with a buddy, and I overheard this guy talking about the weirdest things that Uber or Lyft drivers have ever said to them.
Yeah,
and I was intrigued, so I'm listening. This guy's like, yeah, I got into a cab or a Lyft. I can't remember, Uber, Lyft, whatever. He's like, the driver says to him, I know where there's a crashed UFO. Do you want to go see it? And so I'm listening, and the guy telling the story was like, can you believe this guy? I was like, no, take me home. And then my mind started spinning from there. I was like, oh my God, I would have almost been like, yes.
Dude, that's probably like the best tourist trap scheme that you can do. Come to Nashville, ride in my Uber, I will take you to the crash. You're like 5 minutes that your fare is going to be like $8.95, and you end up going to like past Franklin. You're like $100 deep in Uber.
There's a glowing disc out in Franklin.
Up, man, sorry.
It was here.
It was here.
Hope you enjoyed your ride, man.
Nabbit.
Well, we went down. We were in Destin, or actually Fort Walton Beach, and there's this UFO shaped house, like circular house that these people own. It's right there on Pensacola Beach, because we drove over there. And we actually found out that the people that own it are in Nashville. They actually live here in Nashville.
No
it's
way.
I remember you
Weird.
kinda told me
Weird.
about
Yeah, I was
that,
telling
yeah.
you about that. Yeah, and we had also gone to Gulf Breeze, which was a
Hotspot, right?
huge UFO hotspot back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And a lot of people see stuff. But what's weird about that play? Well, really not weird, but what's interesting about it is that you've got all these Air Force bases all over the place, and we were
Yeah.
staying right in the middle of the Air Force bases, and then you've got Pensacola, which is the Pensacola Navy. That's where the Blue Angels and stuff are.
Yeah.
So there's air traffic everywhere. So it's like almost no surprise that you could have something that's out there that might be like there might be flying some kind of weird craft or something like that.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
I think with the UFO phenomenon, you're almost dealing with two different things. You're dealing with the craft, which you could say, yeah, a certain percentage of them are probably genuinely mysterious, and then a certain percentage of them might actually be ours, but we don't want people to know about it, so we're going to keep the whole UFO thing going, the whole UFO scheme going. I mean, like Tom DeLonge right now.
Yeah, and that's been
that's
quiet.
going on.
That got quiet. It's
Yeah.
been quiet for how many? Like 6 months now.
Yeah.
They did that
There's not-
video. They
there's
did the
not been a
video of
lot.
unwrapping shit. They don't show you anything, and then it's been dead silence.
And-
I've
and-
been waiting for that.
And he hasn't been as very much vocal since, I don't know if you heard the Joe Rogan
he's
interview
just getting torn apart left
where
and
he
right.
sounded like he was on cocaine the entire time. And but so all that stuff I think that they're releasing now is just basically this whole militarization of space. And
Yeah.
they really want to push that, and the whole what is it, the Skinwalker Ranch stuff goes into that as well. So they're really pushing that narrative that we're gonna now they are coming to the whole interdimensional thing. Well, the second phenomenon I think is the alien abduction and the alien contact experience, which I think is something completely different. It just got thrown in with the aerial phenomenon as well.
Yeah.
So,
Who's the Canadian guy that's friends with Dolan? Who's always talking about Tom DeLonge? I can't remember his name. But he was saying, he's like, they always pick the CIA or whatever, NSA or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They always pick these guys that have the ego thing going on where they like, I'm right. So it's like,
Right.
Tom DeLonge got the ego thing. Who else? The Stephen Greer. Something's not right. Something's a little askew with him.
Stephen Greer, when you talk about like David Wilcox and like there's and Gaia, and
Yeah.
good. There's a whole very much of a cultic atmosphere to those guys. Like Stephen Greer, man. The one thing I don't get about Stephen Greer and his organization, what they do, is that they will talk about like, these are the nuts and bolts spacecraft. The Space Brothers are coming. They want to give us all this technology and all this stuff. But we can all go out and sing Kumbaya out in the field, and we can manifest these things.
Yeah.
But they don't think that maybe they actually might be actually manifesting them.
Yeah.
But so there's a whole, he's very much like, he's almost like a cult leader to me, Steve.
Yeah, he does. He's got that thing going on.
He was at some conference and he locked a bunch of people in so they could hear, like, he wouldn't let them leave while he was speaking.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's what he actually,
That's what I want to be when I grow up. Just have enough people's attention where I'm like, y'all gonna lock y'all in. Y'all gonna hang out with me.
Well, it's a good way to meet women too.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
in the 80s. You can't lock women up anymore.
Yeah, over 30
just
seconds.
joking, it's a
Over
joke.
30 seconds in this kidnapping impression.
yeah.
Come, can
But-
I take you to my house and lock you in? I gotta talk some conspiracy shit.
But the whole thing about all this push that's going on right now, they really are, I think, have using somebody like Tom DeLonge to be like kind of a public
absolutely.
face.
I also like the concept of the whole Hollywood decoded thing. Like, Abyss, that movie. That to me that hits the nail on the head right there. I mean half of these things got to be coming from the ocean,
Yeah. See, I could buy that. I think I could buy that a little more than like an extraterrestrial
And then I forget what I was watching. Something about what is it? Close Encounters. Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
And then how who directed that? Was it Spielberg?
Spielberg.
Yeah. Spielberg was there at a military base apparently, and was using references for the movie and crazy shit.
There's a lot of
there's crates that go by in the movie that are it's the same logo from the actual company that that were contracted to do move precious materials and shit. It's crazy.
What is the rock? Is it Devil's Peak or what is it
It's
called?
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
That'll segue into one of my favorite conspiracy theories about Devil's Tower being a gigantic tree that's fucking
Yeah. I've heard that.
miles high.
Yeah.
Where it goes out into the atmosphere and it just has a canopy that's I don't know.
It's like Tree of Life type shit.
Have you guys heard of that?
I have heard of that actually. Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
Where these giant rock plateaus are actually just chopped down trees that are petrified.
Yeah. Well, they say it's the core of I guess the core of a massive volcano was what it used to be, but it's a weird looking thing.
Before it was a tree?
Before it was a tree, yeah.
After this volcano stopped being a volcano, it turned into a tree.
They definitely, like I was saying, they definitely have used people in the past. I don't know if you're familiar with the Paul Bennewitz story, who he was.
I have to be. I mean, I've watched so much.
That was kind of the start of. Well, Bennewitz was this. He was like a millionaire, I think. He lived out in Albuquerque, and he was over there in White Sands. I think somewhere. I think it's White Sands, the Air Force Base. And he would see all these weird lights and stuff in the sky. And a lot of people have speculated now what that was they were actually testing drones. And he got...
When was this?
Early 80s, like 1980, 81. And he got involved with this Air Force officer who was an intelligence officer named Richard Doty. And Doty basically... just fucked with him, essentially. I mean, he just mind fucked him. You know, he told him everything that he wanted to, everything he wanted to hear. What you're seeing are alien spacecraft. We know they're alien spacecraft, and it was just all this, just a way to just obscure what was really going on, so that the Soviets or whoever didn't know that we were working on some kind of drone technology. And there's a book about it called Project Beta, which our good friend Greg Bishop wrote about it. So a lot of people have speculated that Tom DeLonge is just kind of like another Paul Benowitz.
Yeah,
I could
Just kind
see
of
that.
a willing.
Oh
dude.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
I haven't really researched the whole Tom DeLonge thing. I think you told me about it, and I was like,
I mean, he's a
Blink-182.
kid that writes. You know, he comes from Blink-182. Great. He writes, butt, dick, and fart joke songs, and then now he's gonna do some pseudo post-punk band called Angels and Airwaves.
and he's gonna do.
And now, I mean, I get it. He's been into aliens and the whole thing, but. I mean, yeah, the team he's running with is legit, and that's why everyone's like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, a lot of them are intelligence guys, though. That's the thing.
It's like, what the fuck is
They're
going
all
on?
like, most of them are former CIA.
Yeah,
And what-
it's wild.
But don't you feel that there's there's an element of disinformation with that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You have all this
100%.
credibility.
That's
It's like,
absolutely
oh,
what it is.
Probably
Yeah,
what
of
the whole
course.
thing
Like,
is.
you have all these credible people, and you're like, oh,
Well, that's what they're saying. Is like, oh, these guys left the CIA to do this. They didn't leave.
yeah, right.
They didn't leave the
That's just another-
CIA.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Once you're in there, you're like, that's it.
And how are you gonna know? You're like watching a video on YouTube. It's like, I formerly was in the CIA. Like, are you really researching all the credentials and when he retired and
Yeah,
all this?
and then they're gonna make books.
And it's the CIA. So
But
they
I'm
can
not
totally
now.
be like, yeah, he retired.
Well,
We got Tom DeLonge here. He's going to make rock and roll books about UFOs. We're going to sell them at Spencer Gifts.
one of our
Right next to the
guests,
boob controller.
Yeah.
one of our guests, Walter Bosley, he told us that he used to be in Air Force intelligence, and he told us that people that are in the CIA or any kind of intelligence, a lot of them will get out of that and they'll just become independent contractors, and then they're essentially still working for the CIA, but yet they're not. So they're in this kind
Yeah.
of weird limbo. And it was the public face now of To the Stars Academy, which looks like tits and ass. When
Yeah.
you look at the acronym, is Luis Elizondo, who is about as former CIA as you can get. So they're really pushing this narrative. Are you guys familiar with the Skinwalker Ranch stuff?
I watched the documentary. I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were.
I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, we have tried to get Jeremy Corbell on the show. We never get a response back.
I like the Lazar. That was great. It was good. Yeah, Skinwalker. I mean, I didn't expect to see like spooky shit and like monsters running around, but it just seemed just kind of like, ugh.
Where's it at?
I fell asleep.
Utah.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. It was interesting because the what was interesting about it was actually seeing all of George Knapp's stuff that he filmed.
Yeah.
Actually getting to see that. A lot of the other stuff that Corbell filmed, and not that Corbell's a bad filmmaker, because he's decent at what he does.
But just nothing was going on.
It's just
or
like-
just melodramatic.
Yeah, it was just people that were in the area that, had seen weird stuff in the sky. But what was more revealing to me was that very end part where they talked to the new owner. And Robert Bigelow had actually bought the ranch, and that's when he brought that whole team on there to investigate it and see the portal opening up in the sky and all this kind of crap. And so Bigelow sold it, and then you got this guy, and they got him all. Did you see this part where he's all covered up and like they got the voice modulator on him and all that shit? And he says, "Well, I really just can't tell you what we're going to do with it. This is the most amazing thing that is ever going to happen. It's going to change humankind."
Yeah.
Of course it will.
Well, if you do a little investigating, and I actually followed some of the links from the Wikipedia page, it basically looks like this company that bought this essentially kind of want to turn this into like some kind of like elite retreat for the rich to go and have some weird paranormal experience.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
yeah,
Can they do that for the poor?
yeah.
It's like an elite retreat for the poor.
Well, remember they had what that singer. I can't remember the guy's name. The British singer.
Oh, Robbie. I'm like, why
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
watching this documentary on paranormal shit. All of a sudden, motherfucking Robbie Williams shows
Yeah,
up.
what does he have to do with anything?
Yeah, Robbie Williams. What was his hit
he's
song?
an alien guy?
What was his hit?
I don't know, man. I don't know anything about the guy.
All of a sudden, Robbie
Skinwalker.
Williams is rolling up on the
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
to check out poltergeists and UFOs.
Right. So
Oh,
I mean,
man.
he's got to have some kind of connection to it as well. So I think that's really what they're pushing is like, come have a weird experience at the Skinwalker Ranch.
Of course.
And my only problem, this is the skeptical side of me.
Are you sure that's not a brothel? Skinwalker Ranch? Have a weird,
Maybe they're going to
have a
build
weird
one, but it's in
experience at
Utah,
Skinwalker Ranch.
so it might be hard. I don't know. But they need to move it to Nevada
Yeah.
or legalize prostitution. But
yeah.
my big problem with it, one of the problems I had with that documentary was where the material anyway. And when I read the book Hunt for the Skinwalker, it's a good book. But now when I think about like they're talking about like, yeah, we saw the portal open up in the sky and this creature stepped out and you could see another sun it was daylight at the other end of the portal. And the only thing you see in the movie is just another guy telling about what somebody else told him.
Yeah.
Like, where's the proof?
If it does turn into some kind of thing like that, like you were saying,
Yeah.
like a paranormal theme park, I mean, think about the incentives to like make shit happen, right? It'd be like how spiritualism was back in the day, and they'd like
Yeah.
Right.
have little, maybe they'll have like hologram projectors of shit and like, because you don't want people to like spend tens of thousands of dollars and go away without any
I didn't
kind of
see a
experience.
damn thing.
Right, maybe it's a test
Yeah.
where the what were we talking about? That's like Bluebeam, right?
Yeah. Some shit like that where they
That'd be
can
a
just
good little
experiment.
test where you're like, we'll do it as like a tourist attraction, we'll see if it works before we try
Yeah.
like a big mass thing. That might be pretty cool.
Or get all these people to believe in the shit, and then they believe in it, and you can maybe they'll have more
Yeah.
utility.
That's
like
one of
that.
my favorite.
Hologram of Jesus, man. Yep.
That's one of my favorite. Like, it's been a minute since I've really been brushed up on stuff, but I always thought that was pretty fascinating, just
Yeah.
because it makes sense, you know.
How much utility it has. Like, holy shit! If you can make someone think
Oh,
they see
dude.
something like that, that's
Yeah, I mean, in today's society, you don't really think the technology is that really far fetched. I mean, to be honest, not at all. But yeah, I mean, I think about that too. I mean, like, you know, I'm a believer in Christ or whatever. So it's like sometimes, you know, like, because you're raised like Christian or whatever, so you're always talking about like the second coming and all this stuff. Like, you're gonna hear a loud horn that no one else can hear. It's gonna be in the sky.
Did you ever see the movie?
Everyone's gonna disappear.
Did you ever see Red State?
No.
Yeah, there's
Seen Red Dawn.
there's some part of that. Yeah.
But it's like stuff like that. So it's like sometimes, you know, even, you know, and I haven't been to church in years, but, you know, it's just like, it's kind of stuff like that kind of sticks with you because it's pretty creepy. You know, especially when you're a kid, you're just like, okay. So sometimes, like, when you hear like weird like sirens or, you know, and then there's also that phenomenon where there's these weird ominous noises like in the atmosphere. Have y'all seen stuff like that?
Yeah, the mystery bangs and stuff. Yeah.
So sometimes you think about that, it's like, oh, and it always feels like it's some like Sanford and Son shit, you know? Where it's like, this is it. This is the big one. You know? It's like, here we go. This is the rapture, baby. We going up, you know? And then you're just like,
beamed up.
No, it's just like a fake ass tornado alarm.
It's just blue beam Jesus.
It's just blue beam Jesus.
Oh, that's a good name for
Ow.
There you guys go. Start another side project. Blue beam.
Blue Beam
word
Jesus.
Toasty.
You'll do all your Cameo covers.
Oh, yeah. Dude, if there can be a Cameo projection project for your name, I will be fucking right there, and I will believe it. Dude, just like Cameo come down in the cod piece.
Oh God.
All right, and we're gonna and everyone's gonna sing Candy and just dance.
Just like candy.
Yeah, and he's gonna throw a holographic candy from the sky. Can we start that conspiracy theory, please? Sorry, me and Adam have been going on this like shit for like the past
he
month.
he warned me.
Yeah, dude. It's
He's like, we're
it's
gonna
a
have to play
reoccurring
Cameo
theme.
at first.
Like,
I was like,
I
know,
talk about
man.
Cameo like about 3 times a week now.
they're a really fucking good.
And
band,
Word
dude.
Up and Word Up and Candy come in my head now at least.
You gotta check out the album. You gotta check out the album cuts,
Have
man.
you seen the video? Dude, you've got for all the listeners, you have to watch. I mean, it's a huge 80s song, whatever, but I've never ever seen the video, and I'm like a super like 80s music like nerd, you know, synth, R&B, all that kind of stuff. But watch the video for Candy, and it's just like complete, like it's worth like Beavis and Butthead, like Mystery Science. It needs to be like parodied and just talked about to the nth degree because it's amazing. It's absolutely, and you will not regret it watching it.
You gotta check out those Cameo album cuts, man. And the '70s stuff too is good. Before they got super '80s with the big drums and shit.
yeah.
They're just like a straight up like good R&B group in the '70s.
Dave's a big electronic drummer guy too.
Yeah.
You guys need some more of those gated snares, man. Those Cameo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez. You guys got any thoughts about secret society conspiracy theories?
Nah. Never got into it, really.
Secret Society? Oh, like that.
I pick one.
Stuff?
I pick one, I pick one and follow it. Pick one that you can do, okay?
I got a-
There's too many video games.
I got a job in a band, dude.
Yeah, well, Bohemian Grove, Freemasons, Illuminati, anything, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's
Alex Jones type stuff,
No,
Who do I
I
watch?
definitely
Turning the frogs.
I watched a lot of Jordan Maxwell back in the early 2000s.
Okay, yeah,
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
So you got kind of burned out on it.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I could, and then I was just like, all right, show me a.
Isn't that like 13 Bloodlines Illuminati stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it's time to. I think we should drop some. You should drop and tell them about King Kill 33.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, drop some downer on them.
Too
King
much,
Kill
man.
33, huh?
Too much. Too much, man.
Sounds like a Call of Duty name. What is it? A fucking username? King Kill 33.
It probably is already.
Yeah.
Well, it's this whole. I'll briefly talk about
Yeah,
it.
you do it, Adam.
It's this conspiracy theory that this guy named James Shelby Downard came up with, and we've been studying a lot about this guy lately.
When did this come out?
When was it? 70s?
It first came out late 70s, and then was really underground, and then reappeared in 1989 in
Yeah.
a book called Apocalypse Culture. You ever seen that? By Feral House. Is like Feral House's first book. It was really big in like alternative and industrial culture and stuff in the late 80s, early 90s. But that's where it really got popular, like in the last few decades.
So his theory was basically that you have this line of latitude. You draw a line, and basically around like on the 33rd degree latitude. So he said that like JFK assassination was the killing of the king. You had the Trinity test site, all these different areas. They called it like mystical toponymy. And yeah, his surveillance bring that over. There's it's some interesting crazy stuff. I mean, it pulls in just about every kind of like weird conspiracy theory that you could possibly think of. And we've been getting into it a lot lately.
Too much.
James Shelby
Yeah.
Howard? Is that what it is?
Downard.
Downard.
Yeah.
Downard.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, yeah, I see a lot of this stuff online about like, numbers and all, the whole.
He's basically like the father of that whole
Yeah.
thing called synchromysticism, pretty much.
Yeah.
And wasn't Tesla obsessed with that? Like certain numbers, and he like circle a building before he go into it 3 times, and like all that kind of stuff.
I never heard that, but
never
that's
heard that.
interesting.
That
Yeah, he
sounds
might
like
have
Tesla
been.
was really into
Yeah.
certain numbers.
Are you talking about like kind of like the Masonic stuff?
Masonic, yeah.
Yeah, there's a really great one of my favorite when we're talking about kind of this stuff. One of my favorites that I've seen on YouTube is I think it's called Hidden in Plain Sight. Have you guys ever checked this out?
Yeah.
It's really good because it just talks about the just all the different Freemason temples in DC, and just how like certain causeways and intersections just like line up to like sides of like pyramids at Giza, Stonehenge sites, just mystical sites like around the world. And it's crazy just to think that they like what are the Masonic temples there? What is it, the 33rd, the 33 number is like the sacred number.
Well, that's the
highest number.
That's the highest. Well, it's supposed to be the highest degree
Right.
of Freemasonry. Yeah, right now.
And the weirdest thing is my grandfather's a Mason, and then so is my I guess my stepdad. Like he's a Mason as well. I don't know what their degrees are. There's so much stuff. I mean, they're just such straight-laced guys. There's so much stuff that it's just like. But also, I remember growing up. My grandfather's in the military, retired drill sergeant. He's like a Mason. And even when I was a kid, I was like, "What's a Mason?" I asked him about the symbol because he has a Masonic Bible. Like I remember being in church with him with that, and I would always ask him. I was like, "What is that? What's that symbol?" And he had the Masonic ring and stuff. He's like, "Oh, it's Mason." And I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Well, you got to be a Mason to know." So even at a young kid, I was like, "Okay." I never really got it, but I know there's a lot of building, carpentry, and stuff like that. But the sacred geometry stuff is really fascinating. That's like one of the stuff that I really gravitate towards, because if you've ever been to DC, it's just it's a diamond. It's a complete clusterfuck to drive through, but it makes sense because they had everything in mind. Because as a city, it just doesn't make sense that it's like laid out this way. Because even playing in punk bands and touring back in the day, it's like using the old GPS, which is terrible. It's like take a slight left. They always had the English narrator for your GPS. Take a slight left onto Alexander Jackson Parkway, whatever it would be, And then there's like in DC, there's like 4 slight lefts that you can take, and it looks like a spider. It looks like Spider-Man's suit.
It's all
trying to drive through, but it's all planned out in the fact that it's like, oh, we got to line this up for something that's 1,800 miles away.
If you go to the Capitol and you take the tour there, you find out the reason why they built DC the way it is. Okay, so the Capitol is the center of DC. And the original idea was
You tripping out on that?
Yeah, because I watched a I watched a video in this.
Did you?
The whole this and
About Downer.
Aleister Crowley and all this whole and it's a whole different animal from what a lot of people are saying. Like the whole Stephen Greer, that the aliens are beings, our brother, and then this story, the whole Aleister Crowley, that whole thing.
So about Lamb.
Ooh, yeah,
Alan
it's a
Parsons
very
and stuff.
demonic take on it.
Well, that brings the interdimensional. that brings the interdimensional.
Jack Parsons.
back in.
Yeah.
I gotta fuck with this.
The demonic aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's something that I struggle with too, because like I was saying, I grew up with like faith-based, Southern Baptist type stuff, and then the whole angels and demons stuff, and especially Aleister Crowley. One of my favorite horror movies is Rosemary's Baby, because and the reason why I love that so much was it's so believable. Like you watch Rosemary's Baby and it just gives you those hairs, so it's very believable, and especially if you. So that's also where we're I didn't really get a chance to segue into that, but we're talking about the extraterrestrial thing going to interdimensional, and then maybe it's not even interdimensional, but maybe it's a spiritual thing where it is the whole angel demon thing. But maybe the whole angel demon thing is an interdimensional thing. So you kind of get into this weird kind of realm where you're trying to figure it out. But it kind of makes sense if you want to go if you want to take a lot of this conspiracy stuff and put it into a faith-based kind of spiritual context, it kind of makes a lot of sense. In the fact of the angel and demons, like Aleister Crowley, like the light and the dark side, because one of the scariest things is if a lot of people don't believe in this, there are people out there that wholeheartedly believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the light and the dark side. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's something to keep in mind when you're dealing with this, is that it may sound absolutely ridiculous, but the thing is that there are people that actually believe it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you believe.
Right.
It's people are acting on their beliefs.
And it's interesting you bring Crowley into this. I knew he'd probably eventually come into the.
He usually does.
He usually does. Yeah. And lately, this is the first time in a while, but he actually had this whole working that he was doing in the Great Pyramid. I think in the 1890s, and he conjured up this spirit or something that he called Lamb.
Oh, yeah,
and Lamb was supposed to Lamb was supposed to be this
sketch, by the way.
Yeah, Lamb was supposed to be this ascended master, but if you look at the picture, he looks like a gray alien.
And it's super creepy though, so weird.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what the Book of the Law came out of.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, it was a dictation from Lamb, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I've always kind of leaned to. I think that's where I'm at now, where I kind of believed in because it kind of ties everything together: the extraterrestrial, the paranormal, the interdimensional, the spiritual side of things. I mean, technology, man, but also,
Cameo.
Yeah, Cameo and his codpiece flying above the United States of America.
Oh, what was the other one? What about I'm just looking at this cover, the CERN. Yeah. And the people saying that it's like tearing holes and blending different realities together.
Yeah.
Which is where you remember other things, like what was the one? Somebody was telling me about the one Ed McMahon and the Publishers Clearinghouse. Do you remember that from the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay, well apparently there's apparently if you try to look it up, it didn't exist. It doesn't exist.
I've never heard this.
You might have to double check this.
He wasn't with the Publishers Clearing?
I mean, apparently it never happened.
Why? Well, how did it not happen?
Because in our reality.
That's why I don't check the mail, because of publishers. I grew up in the hood, dude. When I was a kid, I was like, "Mama, we made $1 million."
So you remember this, all right? But then if you try to look this up, Ed McMahon had nothing to do with it, and
the face.
This was, dude. Well, and then they're talking about, it's CERN is whatever they're doing over there, it's tearing holes.
Well, that's the whole Mandela effect.
Yeah,
thing, right?
the Mandela. Yeah. That's what that is.
The Berenstein.
Yeah.
That was coming up.
And there's There's.
What did y'all call it, by the way? I always called it Berenstein Bears. Is it
That's what I
Berenstein?
said, Berenstein. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said the same thing.
What does that mean if you say it? What is it?
I don't know. I read Arthur. Fuck it.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you another
Would you be
weird.
a server the rest of your life if you say Berenstein?
One of the things they call it the Mandela effect because supposedly people thought that the Nelson Mandela was dead. They'd actually heard that he died before he actually died. And other people have said, like Kirk Douglas was dead. Kirk Douglas is actually still alive. He's like 105 or something ridiculous like that. But like I actually had my own kind of Mandela effect thing. It was like the actor Robert Loggia. Do you guys know who he was?
Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia. You ever seen Scarface?
I've seen the.
He was the first
Saturday
guy
Night Live
that.
skit. Loggia. Robert Loggia.
Is it SNL skit about Lozier?
But anyway,
What part of it? Who's he in Scarface? Though?
he's the first. He's like the boss that Tony Montana kills.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
wearing like that extra special leisure suit
Yeah.
with like the gold chains. Yeah,
Frank?
yeah. So,
Rest in peace.
You know
but
what?
I could
I like you,
remember
Frank.
hearing on the radio that he died. And then when I heard again that he died, I was like, I thought he was already dead.
What?
So on my own,
That's
just
a
like
random
kind of
guy just
Mandela. Yeah, I know.
God,
Completely
Robert
random.
Loggia, why? Is anyone but Robert? Frank? No.
But that's the thing about it. That's so weird.
Conspiracy
It's
is that
like
he
it's
actually
completely
died
random.
in the Scarface filming.
Yeah.
That would be a fun conspiracy. And what
It was an automaton for their.
It was like a crow scenario, right? Al Pacino legitimately fucking shot his ass, and then that dude was resurrected from some fucking Crowley magic. There you go. And then Cameo was playing at the fucking seance. So there it is. And on that, I bid y'all farewell.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming in and sitting in with us. Tell us where people can find the band again, and we'll play another song.
Yeah, absolutely. When we figure it out, we'll.
And
let
when
you
you're
guys-
playing next.
No, I'm just joking. So yeah, we do have Future Unlimited. We have an Instagram page. It is Future UNLTD. That's the handle on Instagram. I think we're pretty much most active on that. Falling just came out a couple weeks ago via Tragic Fashion Records. It's an independent label based out of LA. Kind of doing, I guess, electronic, indie kind of.
All good things.
Yeah, some good stuff. We're working on a single right now. Kind of just doing production on it, and and then like I said, we're doing a string of singles. But yeah, I guess the best way to keep in contact with all the information is Instagram at this point. We'll probably refurbish. There's a Future Unlimited website. I think it's afutureunlimited.com. But we will be updating all that stuff like later here in the future.
Which is unlimited.
Yeah. What's unlimited?
The future.
The future, yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
and hopefully towards the later end of the year, like I said, like I'd like to release a string of digital singles. That's what we plan on doing, and then we might try to do a compilation, kind of LP vinyl release, like later towards the year, where you can get some physical copies. But yeah, Falling streaming on all major platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. Was it the Google Play Store?
Napster.
Napster.
Napster still exists.
I'm kidding.
LimeWire.
LimeWire. Kazaa.
Huzzah!
In the box of your parents' basement.
And it's on Edison Roll somewhere.
It's on 8-track. Get the exclusive East Nashville Hipster 8-track. It's limited to 48 copies. And we're going to cut 17 of those. Where
Are you guys
track with no tape in it?
Are you guys playing anywhere anytime soon?
May. Is it May? May 26th.
I'm gonna pull up the date.
Yeah,
Let's see. real
double
quick
check it.
while we're here.
We know a lot about our own band, don't we?
I didn't even get to the point of. I was gonna talk about music and Fantastic Planet. The 70s French sci-fi film.
Sounds like a good idea, but I gotta pee real bad.
Anyways, yeah, Fantastic Planet soundtrack, whatever. Check that out. Yeah, the next show we're doing a Demon Night Fest. It's going to be at Mercy Lounge. If I can.
May 25th, 6 p.m. at Mercy Lounge, Nashville, Tennessee.
What are the other bands that we're playing with?
Wingtips.
Yeah, we're playing. Yeah, we're gonna play with Ass. Is that what Ass? Sorry, me and this guy have an inside joke about an old crust punk band. You should check them out. They're called Ass, and it's just unlimited jokes for hours. Because your friends hit you up and you're like, "Where are you?" It's like, "I'm checking out Ass right now." And if they don't know about the band, they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, yo, do you fuck with Ass? I love Ass.
Oh Lord.
We're not playing with Ass, but we're playing with
Relic, Wingtips, Rose Clouds, Panic Priest, and us, Future Unlimited.
Yeah, and isn't that that gothy kind of what is that female goth singer from Chicago? Isn't she playing Feline? What is it? 1-800-Feline?
Yes. Yeah.
That is not to be missed. That's some like S&M, like fucking Bondage, like 80s. Yeah, so it's like kind of like a synthy, gothy, post-punk festival that one of our friends, Taylor Dawson's putting on, and that's in May at Mercy Lounge, May 25th.
May 25th.
May 25th.
Awesome.
So hopefully we'll try to string some stuff before then, but that's definitely going to be a good turnout. So,
and I recommend it. Check these guys out. Just to close out the show, this is episode 248, I believe. Yeah, pretty sure.
Wow.
Yep. So we're coming on closely to episode 250. Have something great planned with a few guys for a round table, and I think we got a friend of yours coming on next time to talk about some.
Yeah, next week we'll have a childhood friend of mine, Jacob Johns, to talk about a bunch of different Native American stuff, maybe some spirituality, some of his experiences. He wants to talk about past lives too, and some other stuff. So that should be pretty cool.
All right.
well, word up.
Excellent. Tell everybody where they can find us. Find us on Patreon if they want to donate.
Yes, on patreon.com/Conspirinormal. And if you don't want to be a subscriber, but you want to just make a one-time donation, go to Conspirinormal.com and you can do that there. We got some patron-only content that we recorded today too, so we should have some more of that.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll be back at episode 249 on Conspirinormal. Give me a word up.
Word up.